When I was 10, everyone I knew played a horrible prank on me. I've told the story to doctors and therapists and friends more times than I can even count. Believe it or not, I don't even like to talk about it, but it never left me. And I'm 30 now. It's been 20 years, and I still want it to stop. I was a normal kid, weird in small ways like most kids are. Had an older sister and a few friends lived on my street, and the next one over. We all played outside after school until dinner. I remember the things a kid remembers. Nintendo DS, backyard party, marshmallows on a stick, a fire pit, that glow-in-the-dark sticker sheet on my ceiling that made me feel like the dark was just a little bit softer. The night of the party just felt amazing. That kind of excitement you feel that you kind of lose when you get a bit older. It was just before school let out for summer. The air was warm and the adults drank beer at the fire. I got to stay up late for once. We chased fireflies and roasted marshmallows until our lips were all sticky. I went to bed tired, belly full, big smile on my face, and happy. The morning after felt wrong from the first breath. I woke up a bit too late and the room was already bright. I thought my mum had let me sleep in for her birthday treat, but the house was too quiet. Breakfast was never gone like that. There were plates in the sink and a coffee pot empty on the bench. No sound from the radio, no footsteps. I called out for my mum. No answer. I walked out to the front door and I just froze. The postman was halfway up the path. Sprawled out on his front, blood pooling under him. The package he'd held lay a few feet away, dented and damp. His limbs were at wrong angles. He was clearly dead. And I don't think that word had weight for me like it should have. I slid the door closed as if that would help. I called for my mum again, my heart pounding, eyes filling with tears. My voice cracked like a twig. And finally I found her in bed. The covers were soaked. There was blood everywhere. Her eyes were open, her mouth frozen wide like she'd been trying to scream. I gagged and I staggered back. The house tilted. The smell was awful, but my skin felt too hot. It was like the air around me had thickened. My neighbour's number was on a sticky note by the landline, so hands shaking, I dialed. The woman who answered was patient and soft, the way grown people are when a kid calls. But there was something under her voice that didn't belong. She invited me over, and I went, stepping around the mailman as if he were a puddle. Through their windows I saw Mr. Hanson on the couch, chest cut open, organs dark and exposed. I burst through their unlocked door and found Mrs. Hanson on the floor by the phone. Her eyes were open too. There was a fly crawling across one of them. I started to cry. My face was sticky with my mother's blood. I wiped at it and then, without thinking, I licked my finger. It tasted sweet, like maple syrup sweet. The shock slid through me slowly, the way cold water slides over your skin. I tasted again, and the memory of making syrup in the summer with my grandma rose up like it belonged. I didn't understand why my reaction was calm. I should have been sick. I ran to my father's work. The road was empty. Cars sat in the middle of the street, doors open, people inside, unmoving. Some had blood across the windshields. At the clinic there were bodies everywhere. Some were intact and pale. Some had been ripped open. It looked like a storm had passed through and left these shapes behind. I touched one of the organs on a desk like it was a toy. It jiggled like plastic. I heard a giggle. I spun around and there was no one behind me. I found my dad sat by the water cooler, his face wet with thick red liquid. I grabbed his shoulder and he turned slowly towards me. And I saw his mouth bent into a horrible, wrong smile. I ran back home, keeping to the yellow line in the middle of the road. Felt like something steady to focus on. When I slipped into my house, the day had been heavy and long. I crawled under my covers, closed my eyes, just unsure of what to do. I woke to somebody shaking my shoulder. I screamed and sat bolt upright. There's my mother. She stood smiling. She looked whole. She smelled like bacon and sunscreen. She said it was Sunday. "Do one of the kids get you sick?" she asked, checking my forehead with the back of her hand. Behind her, my sister was at the table, laughing about something. Life had reset like someone had hit a button and just cleaned everything up. I tried to explain. I didn't. Like, how could I? I'd seen the bodies. I tasted the syrup, whatever it was. It made no sense. They told me to take a breath. They called it a fever dream. And I told myself the same thing because the alternative was harder to live with. Days go by, and I asked everyone I knew. No one remembered the dead. No one remembered the mailman. The Hanson house was fine. The sticky stain on the path outside was faint. But it was there. I thought for a while that I'd lost whatever it was I'd seen. Maybe I'd had a fever. Maybe it was sleep paralysis. Maybe my mind had made it all up. I told therapists, they wrote notes. They said dissociative episodes, stress reaction, childhood trauma. I nodded and told the story again and again, each telling a new doctor with the same tired details. Their faces shifted and then calmed. Their pens flowed. Then last week, I walked into my therapist's office and it was too quiet. Usually there's soft music, a murmur, a kettle in the corner. That office was empty, and the chair behind the desk had someone on the floor next to it. Dr. Sheldon was on the carpet, blood on her blouse and on the walls behind her. The pattern on the ceiling was the same as the pattern from that day. Red spatter. My mouth was dry. I felt like I'd been pulled underwater and someone had held my head there for too long. I knelt and rolled her over. Her eyes were open and there was a small smile on her face. The logical part of me told me to check her pulse. It was there. Faint, if I really knew what faint was, but it was there. Her chest slowly rose. She was alive. I can't explain why this time feels different. Maybe it's because it's now and not then, I don't know. Maybe because I'm older. The edges of my memory are sharper and angrier. Maybe because the places that happened before are careful again. The office, the clinic, my kitchen. Maybe because when I tasted the blood on her lip, it was corn syrup again. Sweet and familiar, unfortunately. The old pattern pushed on my chest. The memory of neighbours' faces, those empty smiles, the postie on the path, the clinical smell of the clinic, the buzzing flies on the Winston's skin. I remember the giddy little laugh I heard behind me when I touched the fake organ on the desk. I remember feeling both terrified and strangely calm. I called out for help, but my throat was thin. I felt the truth press against my ribs. Someone had done this before. They'd set the scene and wiped it away until no one remembered but me. Someone had made me taste it, and then gave me a day to forget. Someone had the power to make the town empty for a while. Sprinkle syrup where blood should be and then scrub it away while I slept. I don't know who or why, I only know this. They did it when I was 10. They did it again now. Dr. Sheldon's breathing was shallow but real. Her eyes tracked me with a slow, tired focus. She was alive. I don't know what to do. I can't believe they're doing this to me again.